It's funny how birthdays work. Some people go all out. We're talking big parties, balloons, a week-long celebration on social media. And then you've got the people who just let it pass by. No cake, no party, just another 24 hours. So let's get into this, because the psychology behind why this happens is way more interesting than you'd think. So, what is really going on here? Why do some people treat the one day of the year that's supposed to be all about them like it's just another Tuesday? Is it because they're sad? Is it some sign of maturity? Or is there something much, much deeper at play? We're going to unpack the three core psychological reasons behind it.
Yeah, you've totally seen these two extremes play out. On one side, you have the big celebrator, where their birthday is practically a national holiday, and on the other, the quiet observer, for whom the day just comes and goes. The difference between these two isn't random. It's actually rooted in their psychology. So let's start with our very first clue. All right, our first clue takes us to a place called a history of hurt. See, for some people, the reason they don't celebrate is actually pretty simple, but it's also really painful. It's not that they don't want to feel special, it's that their past experiences have taught them it's just safer not to. It becomes this defense mechanism, one that's been built up over years of disappointment.
This quote just nails it, right? I mean, just imagine being a kid and your birthday is consistently forgotten by friends or maybe a super busy family. Or maybe you tried to plan something yourself one time and almost nobody showed up. After a while, that feeling of hope just turns into disappointment. And eventually you build this protective shell around yourself.
And you know what? There's actually a psychological term for this. It's called learned helplessness. It's what happens when repeated disappointment literally trains your brain to stop expecting good things to happen. So you just stop trying. The birthday becomes just another day. Not because of apathy, but because it's a whole lot less painful than hoping for a celebration that might never come.
Okay, so let's move on to our second clue. Now, this one has less to do with the past and everything to do with the just overwhelming present. This is all about the people who are simply caught in the chaos of modern life.
For this group of people, their birthday isn't actively ignored. It's just squeezed out. It gets totally lost in the noise of everything else that's screaming for their attention. The intention to celebrate might be there, deep down, but the mental and emotional capacity, it just isn't. And this leads to a really fascinating phenomenon that psychologists call time blindness. It's the state where your brain is so overloaded with tasks and to-do lists that special days just stop feeling special. They lose their glow and kind of just blend into the background of a never-ending checklist.
I mean, think about it in your own life, right? You've got work deadlines, family responsibilities, maybe you're studying. The list just goes on and on. The birthday rolls around, and before you even know it, the day's over. It's not that it was forgotten, it was simply outcompeted by all the demands of just being alive today. Okay, so this brings us to our third and final group. And honestly, this one might be the most profound. These are the people who know it's their birthday, they just don't feel the need to celebrate it. And this isn't about pain or being too busy, it's actually a sign of deep emotional independence. So it all boils down to this. Where do you get your self-worth from? Psychological studies show that people who really rely on external validation, the parties, the gifts, the social media likes, they tend to be a little less emotionally stable. But the people who cultivate internal validation, well, they don't need a specific date on the calendar to feel loved or important. And this isn't just some random idea, by the way. This mindset is tied to a really well-established psychological framework called self-determination theory. It basically argues that genuine happiness doesn't come from getting approval from other people. It comes from feeling like you're in control of your own life, that you're good at what you do, and that you have a sense of inner satisfaction. For these people, maturity means realizing, hey, I already know my worth. And here's the really cool part. This attitude, this power of self, it doesn't just apply to birthdays. It actually reflects a much, much broader philosophy for life. These are the folks who typically don't crave the spotlight or need constant recognition in, well, any area of their life. They've found a sense of peace that doesn't depend on a big show. Now, of course, they're still human. They can feel lonely sometimes, but their baseline is just one of quiet contentment. And this is just such a beautiful reframe. These people have essentially trained themselves to find joy and meaning in the everyday, rather than waiting for one designated day a year to feel alive and celebrated. It's a huge shift from a mindset of scarcity to one of abundance. So after exploring these three really distinct psychological paths,
It's probably a good moment to turn the lens inward for a second and think about our own relationship with birthdays.
All right, let's do a super quick recap of what we found. The reason for skipping a birthday celebration often boils down to one of three things. There's pain, which is driven by past disappointment and that idea of learned helplessness. There are priorities, which is just a result of modern overload and time blindness. Or there's peace, which is rooted in emotional maturity and internal validation. And that really just leaves us with a final thought. Whether you're the type to throw a huge party or you treat your birthday like any other day, your choice reveals something really deep about your own story. So the real question isn't about whether you should have cake or not. It's about this. Do you need the celebration? Or have you already found that feeling of celebration within yourself?